positive relationships within our community as we move forward. The process started back in July of this year when members of the community were asked to submit names online and acknowledge Aboriginal historical events, figures representing spirit of community or the coming together or connection of people within our community. So far we've had what I would describe as a healthy response from the community with our online process and getting names forward. And we want to reach out to the rest of the community and using this event to get more activity on people submitting names to name the bridge. Schools starting back, we're going to be working with the schools and in particular the educational institutions post-secondary to gather more names. And the nominations close October 31st, so just before Halloween. So after our speakers are finished, we'll have a quick opportunity for a photo with the mayor and the naming committee. And we'll have an iPad demonstration so people have a good understanding on how they can go online and get involved with naming the North Commuter Parkway Bridge. So before we begin with the cultural protocol, we're going to be asking one of our community elders that's been involved in this process right from the get-go, from day one, to start us off in a good way with an opening prayer. So I'm going to call on Elder Walter Linklater, who's again our community elder and an Indian residential school survivor. Him and his wife Maria Linklater have joined us here today as well as other elders, Gil Q-Step, Harry Lafond. So with that, I'll turn it over to Elder Linklater. Thank you, Elder Walter Linklater. We're going to have our first speaker is one of our community leaders that's been working hard and building a strong, diverse community. And I'd like to call on my good friend Shirley Eisbester, and she's the president of CUMFI, the Central Urban Métis Federation, Inc.
Good morning. I won't take long. I've only got about 25 pages. Good morning. I want to thank the elders for the opening prayer. I want to welcome the mayor, Vice Chief Arcand, and Harry Lafond, and the survivors. It's the Creator gave us such a beautiful day for the announcement today. When I stand here, I feel such a sense of peace in this area. And when we were here the first time and down by the bridge, I felt that same peace. The naming of the North Commuter Parkway Bridge, I feel is really going to be the city's answer to diversity, because I think it's an opportunity for everyone to be involved. It's an opportunity for research the community is not only Indigenous people, it's the settler community, and we all need to learn about each other. And in answering the call to action on the naming, it gives people, children in the school system, but people who are really interested in and wanting to learn, the opportunity to research a name. Because it's not just going to be someone saying, this is not the bridge name, the Buffalo Bridge. There'll be reasons behind it. So why you're nominating, why you feel it's important to have that name come forward for the bridge. And so I look forward to a large list of names coming in. I'm pleased to be on this committee with people who are really interested and involved in our community. And we invite you all to take some time, think about it, think of a name that represents what you see your community as, because Saskatoon is one community. Even though we have a number of bridges and we're going to be adding another one, we're still one community, and we need to work together, and we need to bridge our whole community together so that we're one people with very, very, very many different and unique cultures in our city. And this is going to give us that opportunity to bring it all together. So thank you very much, and we look forward to reviewing the names that come in. Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley. Our next speaker is one of my mentors who's been guiding me for many years, is Harry Lafond. He's the Executive Director for Office of the Treaty Commissioner, and he's also an Indian residential school survivor.
How Walter? Nana Skumton. This is a very important place for us as people of this land. This is Treaty 6 territory, and it was and continues to be the homeland of Indigenous people who thrived here, continue to thrive, and are making their way into this community of Saskatoon. It also became the homeland of the Métis, and they likewise made a living here, continue to make a living, and make their contribution to the community of Saskatoon. And then it is the homeland of the settlers who come from all corners of the world to make Canada their home, but more importantly, to make Saskatoon their home. It becomes really important for people to become involved and engaged in shaping their community. And the naming of this bridge is an example of how people can become engaged in shaping and coloring how they envision their community will evolve into the future. It's really important that we work hard to encourage people to come forward and not to be shy, and not to feel as if this is the work of the administrators of the city. This kind of shaping and this kind of coloring of a community is everybody's work, and the TRC tells us that. The TRC encourages us to come to action, to move forward, and to really engage ourselves as citizens of a wonderful place, a beautiful place like Saskatoon. And it can be what we want it to be if we work hard and become engaged. So I would encourage everybody that in the city here, take a moment, learn how to use your iPad, and put forward a name that really means something significant to you, and it represents that sense of reconciliation that we've embarked on here in this city and have taken the leadership in Canada. Thank you.
Thank you, Harry. Our final speaker is Mayor Charlie Clark, and Mayor Clark has been providing his support to our community through our reconciliation journey, and he'll be our final speaker.
Thank you very much, Gilles, and thank you, Walter and Maria, for the prayer and starting us off in a good way, for Shirley and for Harry, for Gilbert, another elder who's helping us through this process. And I am very glad to be standing here with all of you, as mentioned, on Treaty 6 territory. Usually when we talk about this, we're in a building somewhere and it's sort of in the confines of a room. But here we are, we really get to see the land that we're on, what Treaty 6 territory looks like, and the homeland of the Métis people. And the swale, which is just, you can't quite see it, but just through there, has remnants of the Moose Woods Batoche Trail through it, which tells that story of the Métis traveling through this country between communities and building a livelihood here. And so I'm very pleased about this moment that we're in. And I want to give credit to Councillor Darren Hill. It was Councillor Hill who put forward the resolution at Council that this bridge be named in the spirit of reconciliation. And that was passed unanimously by City Council. And that started us off on a journey of then figuring out, well, how do we come up with this name? And as a member of the Naming Advisory Committee for the city, I know it's not actually always easy to pick and choose what is the right name. And in a case like this, and with something of this level of importance, it's even that much more significant. And as I've learned through my role in the committee and the city, the names that we place on our streets, our buildings, our bridges, our parks, tell a story about our community. And up until this point, in Saskatoon, I think it's very fair to say that if you look at all the names in the city, the story of the relationship between the First Nations people, the Métis people, the Inuit people, the Dene people, all and meeting with generations after generations of newcomers coming to this land is not reflected well as much as it could be to help the people who are moving here, the young people who are living here, to recognize that very, very rich and important part of our history. And so this bridge naming is part of our journey of better reflecting as a city who we are and how we've gotten to this point. And so it's very important. But I also want to say the process of coming to the name and working with our elders and the work that you've done, Gilles, and Dallas and everyone to help us to get there. Working with the Tribal Council, we have Vice Chief Arkan here, who I know has put a lot of time into this process. That's part of our journey of reconciliation as well, is coming up and recognizing that in order to do things well, we need to do it in different ways sometimes and take a different process and step back from maybe the normal naming process that we've had in the past and listen and learn in that will help us not just for this process, but also as we continue to find ways to ensure this community reflects all of our citizens. And I also want to say that as the names come in, and I know we've already got a lot, many that have come in, and we are looking forward to many more. It won't be just names that will help us to apply to this bridge, but the Naming Advisory Committee and City Council have discussed that some of the other names that come up, we will continue to work with this committee to find other ways and places that some of these names can be applied on streets, on parks, on facilities throughout our city. So this is actually, it's a very exciting opportunity to give this bridge a name that we can really feel proud of, and it goes beyond that in terms of the impact that this will have on the future of our community. So thank you again to everybody who is working with us to do this in a good way. And it takes time and commitment and some challenge too, and we want to work with you to get through that. And thank you to everybody who's come here today. I'm very, very proud to be part of this with all of you. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you, Mayor Charlie Clark. Now in closing, I'm going to invite our Elder Maria Linklater to do closing prayer.
katoa takutsitaya kuwa yo katakotai kuya yo kami no masipi si soma kaso ketsua kaya sintai sini na na boteki tatsik boteki witsik katoa pe misiteki takoke yo kami nakispin ni pi kapig squad ko ya misteka kaya mustago no mani pi yo kami nakawi no aski bueno te on distuto tawa ya kiu sumuta kaya ya kiu wika kiu go chima ka ni pi bisis ko kaya sama chikstaka no pigita in yo to tapan hoya yo sa sama waswa yo kan mo sene na skumta yo kami ne mita kia koi pa itamo ya kaya kainan to kes wani ke ako ma uma asukan kawi kaki katsumoto asukan dan segi pe otaskane sitski go yo chitan te otsupai go chatsimon katoa kesits ke katsumo yo kana me mita koi pa itamo ya katpitsike ne kanan to kes wani hoya ako ma asukan otse magena na skumo an kakki go otse soimi kakki oisino kakki mutta asuko sa isino ako taskane sikmitse ta isino omotegi skatsik mage wana me na skumo an kakki go otse kana na skumte hai na skumo iskapi isum me vat iskapi isum no kumna ne vat istawa tatsak era na skumte go mage na unan no to ate o kanu ichena katoa kakki go gespek na skumte na kakki go otse hai
Now I'd like to invite the mayor and members of our naming the NCCB Bridge Committee just to stand in front of the banner, and we'll get some opportunity for some photo shots.